Welcome, everyone. We are live on this beautiful, what are we, Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. Um, a scripture that's been, bugging me for a little bit, which makes me wonder, was it just added as an afterthought? Because according to the law of correspondence, as within, so without, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. I understand what they're saying. However, on the other hand, if the spirit is willing, the body will comply. We always hear people say, well, he had such a strong will. That's what that is. But I look at it slightly different. You see, we're so used to using our willpower. Oh, yes. We are always so used to using our willpower. You know, they tell you where there's a will, there's a way. If you have the will to do it, a way is always made, right? Cause and effect. But change perspective for a moment. You see, instead of turning towards your own willpower, your own brute force, turn inward towards your imagination. I will touch on this probably next week, but I wanted to say it this morning in this fashion: as within, so without. So if your spirit is willing, your flesh will comply. And I know if you're looking from a medical perspective, some may say, well, that's not true. But I challenge you to change your perspective. Go beyond what we presently know. Go beyond what we presently know. Because the spirit within you is God itself. And it is always willing. And if we would but seek counsel from it, what do I do? I am not sure. I'm a little bit afraid. Remember, I think was it the centurion who said, Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. You see, you're not meant to struggle, contrary to popular belief, right? You're not supposed to. But if you would remind yourself, wait a minute, my spirit is willing. Now, when your spirit is willing, do you fully grasp what that means? That is God within you, your spirit. That is God within you. And God is whispering your name and saying, hey, you've got this. Because we are so what you would call battle weary, because we're out there in the world and we're bombarded by so many things, we feel as if we can't go on. We feel as if we cannot endure. Don't fight to endure. Turn within and see the fulfillment of what it is, and you will endure. This is how we make our lives simpler. You see, when that spirit is willing, and God is always willing, but that's the part we don't want to believe just yet. Not that we don't want to, but I say it to you and we say to ourselves, yeah, well, that's not real life, Angela. Look at what's happening in the world. I know what is happening in the world, but what is happening in the world is happening as a result of what is within man itself. Man's perception or man's mental state, mental mood, mental attitude. So if you can see the predominant moods of men, you can predict the environment in which they live. So are you willing to change? You see, Abraham and Isaac, was it? It wasn't the burning bush, but he had to go and sacrifice Isaac. He didn't argue with God. He just said, I trust you. And so he got there with the knife raised, and God said, whoa, 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 hold on. Oh, look, there's a ram caught in the thickets. Go kill that instead. Now, some would look at that and say that that is a test of one's faith. But allegorically speaking, psychologically speaking, if you just have the act of walking away from your old self, provision will be made for your strength to get past and through it. You just have to be willing to say, ah, I don't want to be this. You might not even know for sure what you want to be, but you know you don't want to be that. The willingness to say, I want to be better, I want to be something else. Provision will be made right there for you. Right there on the spot. You see, the spirit is willing. I don't think the flesh is weak. The flesh can only be weak if you tell it it cannot be strong. Well, as within, so without. You see, the body is always going to respond. How do you know the body always responds? Okay, we have lots of mountains out here and people go hiking. And every time in the news you'll hear about some nutmeg who was chased and had to fight off a cougar. I'm like, dude, if you go in the bush, you just have to expect that there'll be a bear. There's noisemakers for bears, and they usually tell you to take one with you. I'm like, wait, if I have to go in the bush and I got to take a bear noisemaker and bear spray, I ain't going in the bush. You understand? Because I know what's in there. But when the body sees that threat, it responds. The threat hasn't happened, but the threat is implied. All you hear is, rah. This is all you hear. Rah. That's all you hear. And the threat is implied, and the body says, heifer, we need to run or we need to fight. And depending on the split-second decision you make, the chemicals happen that fast in your body. So if that happens, it stands to reason that the body will also respond that quickly when you make the decision to say, I want to change. I'm willing to change. I don't know how, but I am willing. So if you say to yourself, I'm willing to change from where I'm at to be better, you will get the desire and you will get the strength as if by magic. No, it's not magic. We don't go into fight or flight by magic. We go into it by perception. And your body will have the same response if you're sitting on the couch and you are watching something that is scary. I watched the show yesterday. Let me tell you something. I cried. Hallelujah. I cried. And I was like, these people are only acting. But I felt it to be so real, to be so potent. So the spirit is willing. So is the body. It really is. So if you are willing to change, just be willing. Just be willing, and the provisions will be there for you because cause and effect. And I know that's a lot to take in so early in the morning. But if you perhaps change the perspective, you would free yourself from a lot of turmoil. Ponder it. Everywhere else in the body, a chemical cocktail happens within seconds. As soon as the decision is made, shoot, before you've known you've made the decision, your body responds. So how can it be weak? Once the spirit chooses, the reaction happens. So if we continually tell ourselves, because remember, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. So it may not even be true that the spirit is willing and the flesh is weak, but because we say it, and we have been saying it for years, and we believe it, Well, then you cannot be made a liar of. You must be weak. You keep telling yourself that you are. And spirit is willing, but flesh is weak. And the next time you say that phrase, look at the excuse you're making. You're making an excuse for not doing something. And that's why you say it. I know it's scripture. But the question is, has it been added in after the fact? Or was it originally there? Based on the law of correspondence, I'm going to beg to say that it was added as an afterthought for some ulterior motive. But as within, so without, as above, so below. So if within you, you want to live, ain't nobody can kill you. What does scripture tell you? I lay it down or I pick it up. That's what you do. That's what I do. So this morning, be encouraged. Your spirit is always willing. And if your spirit is willing, your flesh will comply. And you will change. You will. Just, that may be hard to hear, hard to believe, hard to trust. But go outside. We are in summer almost. We're at the tail end of spring. Going into summer. You can't make the seasons change. But there it is. You comply with the seasons. So too it is. If you say, I am willing, the moment you make the decision, you have planted a seed. And that seed must bring forth fruit after its own kind. Corn for corn, peas for peas, tomatoes for tomatoes. You get the drift. So willingness for willing. That's the point. So don't think that you have to fake it and pretend and hope, well, maybe it'll happen. No. Plant the seed, aka make the decision. What are you willing to do? You see, in order for us to move forward, we must be willing to relinquish the things of the past. Look at them. I told you yesterday, somebody beautiful reminded me of what I said yesterday, because after I'm done speaking, I have no idea. Some snatches will be there, but other than that, what you did in the past served you at the time because you didn't know any better. So it had a purpose and it served you well. But now that you know better, that old thing is no longer helpful. So, deliberately now, you must choose something that is better and more helpful for you. That is life. We grow, we prune. We grow again. We grow, we prune. We grow again. But it is in that pruning phase. If you've got tomatoes, you know what I'm talking about. The part that has the blossoms, you keep that clearly. But the part that has no blossoms, snip it away. Why? Because now you redirect all the energy and the nutrients towards the blossoms. So all of the things that don't serve you, start with one of them. You will see it right in front of your face. You don't have to go dredging it up. If you pay attention, you'll see it. If you're willing, you'll see it. Clear as day, it'll present itself. And you'll say, but I don't know what to do with that. It's not there to show you what to do. It's there to show you, hey, this thing is no longer helpful. Do you want to keep it or do you want to let it go? Do you want to prune it? Well, how do you prune it? I don't want to do it anymore. And then you put your attention upon what you want to do. And the thing that you said you didn't want to do anymore, because you are no longer giving it attention, it will fall off. You see, we think that change is some big struggle, when in actuality, the encouragement is this: just be willing to do the change. Just be willing. Just be willing to walk through the world with an attitude that says, I am valuable, I am worthwhile, I am worthy. Just be willing to walk with that attitude. And if you walk with that attitude, you'll begin to feel worthy. I'm being very real right now. You will feel worthy. Oh, and when it begins to feel good to you, say, wait a minute. This is what worthy feels like? And we think we have to go and have somebody tell us what worthy feels like. No. If you say, I want to feel worthy, you can clearly see what unworthiness feels like. Nobody listens. Nobody cares. Nobody loves me. But worthy? Take a hold of worthy. And you begin to walk with it. Breathe with it. Speak with it. That's how quickly the change can happen. Honest, that's how quickly it can happen. If you are willing, that's how quickly it happens. But if you make the excuse, that is how quickly you will remain as you are. Again, look at how quickly the hormones for anxiety, the hormones for depression release themselves. Look at how quickly it happens in the body. It is instant. Though so too is the change for willingness. Because it's not going to be instant in one chemical area and slow down in another. This is why if you get so excited with that adrenaline rush, whew, it lingers in the body for a while. Right? It lingers in the body for a while. And because it lingers in the body for a while, we begin to think, well, that's just my lot in life. Nah, that's just chemicals running its course. They have to dissipate, and they will ebb and flow. It's a rhythm. But if you continually entertain the thought pattern that triggers the effect of that hormonal release, then that becomes your habitual way of living. And it's just normal for you to feel that way day in and day out. But also know that if you say, and again, you never have to speak with words, do you? You don't. The deaf man will still hear voices. The mute man will still speak to himself within his own body. You never have to open your mouth. You just have to make a decision internally. It's a mental movement to acknowledge your willingness to change from where you are to where you want to be. You just have to acknowledge it. And it's like the whole of heaven, if you want to give it a personality and names, the whole of heaven will rush to your aid to help you change. It's like you've got your own personal army. That's the encouragement for you this morning. The spirit is willing, well then so is the flesh. Just be willing. Where there is a will, where there is a decision to change, you will see the opportunity that you should take advantage of to bring about your change. Believe you me, as my grandmother would say. That's what happens. So today, be encouraged. If you've been sitting on the fence, hopefully not for too long, but if you've been lounging there, hoping, make a decision. Oh, it seems daunting perhaps and scary, but Make the decision. If you cannot make that decision, it is fear holding you back with this question. But what if it doesn't work out? What if I fall flat on my face? What if they laugh at me? Well, what's the difference between what if I succeed? What if I blow my own mind? What if I rise to become the greatest? What's the difference between those two things? Well, one is going to make you feel like crap and the other one is going to get you a little bit excited. Just have the willingness to entertain. What if they were so awestruck with what I did? What if they couldn't believe it was me who did it? What if I shocked myself with my own success? Have the willingness to entertain that. Because you're already willingly entertaining the other way. We are always willingly entertaining something. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But so long as you are willing, change will be there to greet you. And when you see it, you'll say, oh my God, that was so easy. Why didn't I do it sooner? Isn't that what we always ask ourselves? Why didn't I do that sooner? I'd be so much further ahead. Hey, just start. Just have the willingness to start. That is your encouragement today. You know I love you. You know I do. So, the next time you catch yourself saying, spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, ask yourself what excuse you're actually making. Because that's what you're doing. But you know, the flesh is weak. No, it just means you don't want to do something because you're scared to do it. But come face to face with that. Come face to face with it. And when you do, see it for what it is. And when you see that it's just the old way that you've been thinking, just laugh and say, I see what you are. But that's all right. I'm willing. And as long as I'm willing, the solution is always there for me. Always. But don't just take my word for it. Lord, have mercy. Hearsay? You want to live by hearsay? Or do you want to live by experience? Deliberate experience. It's not everything that you have to experience to know what it's going to be like. You can live vicariously through another. Right? You don't have to suffer to know what pain is. You can see someone else in pain and know that it's not a good thing. But when I say experience, I'm talking about this kind of experience. The one that you truly want. Ooh, okay. I told you. One moment, please. Oh, let me see if I can beat him. Wait. Oh. Sorry, y'all. Listen, he was asleep this whole time. And then all of a sudden, when you hear him shake like that, oh, give him a minute. Yeah, don't be mad. I'm sorry. He's in the closet. But this morning, be willing. Be willing to change. And the opportunity to facilitate your change, you'll see it. And you go, oh my God, how synchronistic. What a coincidence. Stop that madness. You know what? Next time you see a coincidence, you know what you say? Oh, as within, so without. I would not have experienced that had I not had it within me. Mm. Good, bad, or indifferent. Because when you catch it on the outside, you are clearly seeing what is within you. And when you see what is within you on the outside, you'll know how powerful you are. You'll know that it could not have come unless you called it good, bad, or indifferent. And when you see it and it doesn't quite line up with what you want, what do? Go back inside, readjust the image, readjust the inner conversation you're telling yourself, and cast your bread on the water one more time. And then watch it show up. Yeah. See how beautiful it is? Ooh, Lord have mercy. Life is good. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's a good thing. You just have to practice. What are you willing to embrace? You see, they look like the same question. What are you willing to let go? What are you willing to embrace? They look like they're the same question, but they are not the same question. To embrace or to let go requires attention. And where you put your attention is what you will experience more of. Do you see the difference between what are you willing to embrace and what are you willing to let go of? Letting go is automatic based upon what you accept. Letting go is automatic when you embrace what you want to accept. It really is. Because you can't serve two masters, you know this. So if you're giving the let go thing your attention, well, then listen, it's got you. And you'll be fighting to let it go. But if you embrace the new thing that you want, if you're willing to embrace that, well, then letting go is just inevitable. You don't have to fight to let go. Just embrace what it is that you want to become. And then, because remember, polarity, where you are now and where you want to be. So if you embrace where you want to be, you're always going to be the same in your nature. You'll always have to reap what you've sown. So if you embrace more energy, you'll stop being tired. Hmm? If you embrace courage, you'll stop being fearful because two things cannot occupy the same space. Right? You want to be bold and courageous. Well, embrace that. How do you embrace it? By seeing yourself as it. And if you're busy being courageous and bold, where's there time for fear? So be willing to change. And all accommodation will rush to meet you to facilitate your change. Let us take a brief moment to welcome everyone into the space, shall we? Twitter, King Beauty, Symmetric, Beloved Love Troll. I see you all here this lovely Tuesday. It better be Tuesday. Part of me wants to say it feels like a Wednesday, but it's Tuesday. YouTube and Facebook, Sugar Visions, The Better Man. Aw, thank you. He says his favorite podcaster is Angela. Aw, thank you. Rone is here. Oh, number one Agua fan. Hello. Welcome to the space. I've never said your name, so welcome. Fan base, who's here this morning? Oh, fan base is bumping. Hey Moon, Miss Boricua, CJ, Honey, Tajane, Fawn, Substance, KZ, Mansa, Miss. Good morning. Good morning, beautiful. Miss McQueen, Oracle Treehouse, Joaquin. There's KZ. Um, and Oracle Treehouse. Just bear with me here for a moment. Shea Butter Flow Smiles. I think I got everybody. Thank you all for being here this morning. You might get birdsong when you hear the bowl. I don't know. I think he's mad at me. But my neighbor's alarm hasn't gone off yet. I usually hear it. So I just didn't want him to wake up my neighbor. But I digress. Have the willingness. You'll feel it when you're willing. Because you already know what willing is. Have the willingness to change your life. Right? Have the willingness to change. And everything will be there to facilitate your change and make it easy for you. You won't know till you do it for yourself. Oh, but I don't know how I want to change. You know what you're tired of complaining about. That's where you start. That's the problem. And within every problem, the seed of the solution is in it. So if you're barefoot, that's the problem. Solution is what? Shoes. If you're hungry, as the problem, solution is food. So if you can recognize your problem and you say, man, I don't want that anymore. I'm willing to embrace something new. Well, then, all concessions are made for that new thing to come into your life. But here's the thing. Sometimes we don't see what we bring into our lives. Sometimes we don't see it. But if you are being deliberate, we'll talk about that tomorrow. If you're being deliberate, which means you know you initiated the change, well, then you know what it looks like. So when you see it, you go, ah, there it is. And it's on the outside, you do it. You live that way now. It's never going to hide from you. And again, how you recognize it, you say things like, oh my God, what a coincidence. How synchronistic. No, it was you who made a decision mentally that brought about the physical expression of the thing. So when you see it, you know what you've done. And that's why I say good, bad, or indifferent. Don't judge it. Recognize I put it there. And if I put it there, I can take it away. And how do we put it there? How we think about it. How we feel about it. How we speak to ourselves about it is how we put the experiences out into the world. See? It's not the time to argue with me on whether I'm right or wrong. I'm not trying to be right. I'm not trying to be wrong. I'm telling you the law. It is up to you to now use it. See it for yourself and use it. You see, sometimes we get caught up in, well, that's wrong or that's not true. If you would test it for yourself, that's where you apply the energy, by testing it for yourself, as opposed to arguing with who you think is right or wrong. There's no time to argue. Change. And the argument goes away. Because truly, what we're all looking for is the evidence. One person in Reddit said the other day, just prove to me that the law is real and I'll believe it. Whew, and I thought to myself, good luck with that one. You are the very evidence of the law itself. But you see, that's what we want. We want the sign. Well, give me a sign. A sign is the evidence of you having changed. Can't see a sign any other way. Right? We want the evidence of it working before we will accept it. But notice something. Notice that you remain the same because you are looking for the evidence of change without having done the change. You have to do the change to see the evidence of what you've done. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, Hope for the best. No. If you want to see the change, you have to make the change within yourself. And what makes it easier? The willingness to change. I trust that that makes sense for you this morning. Okay. I thank you, CJ. Thank you for the hearts, love. I'm in the chat still here, so I don't miss any questions. But I trust that you will be emboldened enough to test yourself to see what you're capable of. I tested myself, and so far, sweet onion 2, Angela 0. Onion's got my butt whooped, but I will make a blooming onion. Don't you fret. I just keep practicing until I get it the way I want it. Such is life. You just got to be willing, right? So let's get the bowl this morning. So when you hear the bowl, yes, Flo Smiles, be the change. You know what I mean? Yes, be the change. The end of wanting is always being, you know. You want to be something versus having it. You want to be it, right? So, yes, you've got to be the change. As within, so without. Ah, Asanya, darling, welcome. I trust it makes sense for you this morning. If not, and you have more questions, not because I'm right or not because I know better, but the law. And I'll tell you the law, and you'll see it for yourself when you implement the practice, right? That's all it is. So, I don't know if you'll get bird song. I don't know. Because he's mad. I moved him. But you might. Let's get the bowl. And as you hear the bowl this morning, listen, if you're driving, focus on the road, please, for the love of God. But if you're in a place you can have a few moments of quiet time. What are you willing to embrace this morning? What are you willing to embrace this morning? Be bold and embrace it. And watch your life transform before your very eyes. Hold on to your lug nuts, honey. It's time for an overhaul, right? Just acknowledge and embrace. Just, just embrace it. And when you see the change start, you can slide into my DMs and tell me all about it. And I will say, oh, no, really? I have to pretend I'm surprised, but I'm not. I'll still sprinkle you with confetti anyway and celebrate with you. But I already know that the change is inevitable so long as you embrace it. Right? Let's do it. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beloved love troll, symmetric, Asanya, Sugar Visions, The Better Man, Ronay, 1AU fan. Thank you all for being here on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook this morning. Fan base, I'm coming, my beautiful friends. Thank you all for being here. Listen, tonight is part 2. What is it? Assumptions harden into fact. That's lesson 2 from the 5-part series that Neville Goddard has. So that's what we're on. And let me tell you something. Last night, for me at least, it was lit. I was moved by that lecture. How many times have I read that? I don't know. But every time I read it, it hits you a little bit different. It fortifies you. It makes you feel like, ooh, I can do anything, right? So tonight, if you want to be a part of that, it is at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Fanbase. All right. I'll see you tonight. Much love, Twitter. Much love, YouTube, Facebook,